T-minus 10, 9, 8,
The clock is
7.
operating. We're underway.
Tranquility Base here.
Endeavor, go at throttle up.
Way to Launch Complex 39A. Getting ready for mission STS-125.
David works for the Kennedy Space Center and was on hand as the Space Shuttle Atlantis headed towards the launch pad on a device called the Crawler. The 77 metric ton vehicle goes about 28,000 kilometers an hour in space, but the crawl to the launch pad takes about 6.5 hours, not even 1 kilometer an hour. Atlantis is scheduled to launch in early October.
Bilder aus Texas nach Hurricane Ike erkennen die Menschen erst jetzt das ganze Ausmaß der Schäden, die der gewaltige Sturm in dem US-Bundesstaat angerichtet hat. In den Städten steht das Wasser in den Straßen, doch Rettungstrupps und technische Spezialisten sind unterwegs. Die Schäden an den Ölraffinerien und Plattformen sind offenbar geringer als befürchtet. Doch bis sich das tägliche Leben in den betroffenen Gebieten wieder normalisiert hat, könnte es noch Wochen dauern. 12 Uhr, der Mittag bei NTV. Ganz herzlich willkommen, liebe Zuschauer. Ich begrüße Sie zu einem News-Spezial. Nach Hurricane Ike ist in der Katastrophenregion die größte Such- und Rettungsaktion in der Geschichte von Texas angelaufen. Denn nun geht es darum, den vielen Menschen zu helfen, die in ihren Häusern von den Fluten eingeschlossen sind. Die Schäden gehen wohl in die Milliarden. Bisher verloren durch den Monstersturm 5 Menschen ihr Leben.
Es ist die größte Rettungsaktion, die es jemals in Texas gegeben hat. 1500 Einsatzkräfte suchen im Hurricane-Gebiet nach möglichen Opfern. Etwa 140.000 Menschen konnten oder wollten ihre Häuser nicht verlassen. Wir machen uns Sorgen, dass wir Leute finden werden, die sich nicht retten konnten und die jetzt unter den Trümmern liegen. Wir hoffen das Beste, aber ich muss Sie darauf vorbereiten, dass es auch Tote geben kann. Angesichts solcher Bilder ist diese Sorge berechtigt. Kaum ein Haus ist von Hurricane Ike verschont geblieben, hier an der Küste von Texas. Bis weit ins Landesinnere hinein steht alles unter Wasser. Bilder, die zeigen, welche enorme Kraft der Hurrikan hatte, als er an Land ging. Das ist alles, was uns noch bleibt. Sonst ist alles weg. Unser Auto, unser Haus. Wir hätten nie gedacht, dass so etwas passieren könnte. Ich habe viele Hurrikans erlebt, aber dieser hier war der längste und der langsamste Hurrikan, den ich je erlebt habe. Besonders ernst ist die Lage in Galveston und Umgebung. Weit mehr als 20.000 Menschen sind trotz der Warnungen hier geblieben, haben sich der Zwangsevakuierung widersetzt. Feuerwehr, Polizei und Nationalgarde sind nun angerückt, um nach Hilfsbedürftigen zu suchen. Präsident Bush hat große Teile von Texas zum Katastrophengebiet erklärt, denn die Schäden sind enorm. Für Millionen Menschen brach die Stromversorgung zusammen. Häuser, Autos und Boote wurden zerstört, Straßen überflutet. Schutt und Trümmer überall, nicht nur an der Küste, auch hier weiter landeinwärts in der Millionenstadt Houston hat der Hurrikan gewütet. Es hörte sich an, als ob ein Zug über den Parkplatz donnert. Es war sehr, sehr laut. Dann fegte das Auge des Hurrikans durch. Es wurde ruhig und nach 30 Minuten ging es wieder los. Mittlerweile hat Ike an Kraft verloren und ist nur noch ein tropisches Tief. Die Menschen in Texas jedoch werden Ike als Hurrikan in Erinnerung behalten, der ihr Leben verändert hat.
Unser Reporter Christian Wilb ist vor Ort und hat sich ein Bild über die Schäden gemacht.
Genau hinter mir der typische Texas-Blick in diesen Tagen. Ein Haus steht mitten im Wasser und mit ihm die gesamte Nachbarschaft. Tausende Texaner werden in den nächsten Tagen erfahren müssen, dass ihre Bleibe mehr oder minder abgesoffen ist. Doch nicht nur die Hauseigentümer haben Verluste zu beklagen, auch die Schiffseigner und Bootseigentümer sind betroffen. Genau hier sehen wir die traurigen Reste eines Yachthafens. 2/3 der Schiffe sind spurlos verschwunden, etwa 1/3 liegt hier noch vor Anker, allerdings mit teilweise erheblichen Beschädigungen. Viele werden sich fragen, warum sind die Boote nicht einfach in Sicherheit gesegelt? Die Antwort ist ganz einfach. Hurricane Ike hatte die Größe von Deutschland. Die Schiffseigentümer wussten einfach nicht, wohin.
Um kurz nach 2 Uhr mitten in der Nacht trifft Hurrikan Ike auf die Inselstadt Galveston. Mit Windgeschwindigkeiten von bis zu 175 Stundenkilometern fegt er über die amerikanische Küste. Mächtige Wellen brechen über die Uferwelle. Ein CNN-Reporter berichtet von der Küste mitten aus dem Hurrikan. Wieder fällt eine Palme um, das ist ganz schön rau hier, weil wir im 3. Stock sind. Ich kann sehen, wie die Überflutung steigt, weil der Golf von Mexiko näher kommt. Das ist ein schlimmer Tag für Galveston, Texas. Die östlichen und westlichen Teile der Insel werden meterhoch überflutet. Sintflutartige Regenfälle verschlimmern die Lage noch. Was das Wasser nicht mitreißt, fällt den Feuern zum Opfer. Zahlreiche Häuser gehen in Flammen auf. Das war wie eine Art Tsunami. Einige Strandhäuser hat es die Stützpfeiler weggerissen. Sie sind zusammengebrochen und wurden dann aufs Meer hinausgespült. Ike wird aber auch nach seinem Landgang nur wenig schwächer. Das liegt unter anderem an seinen enormen Ausmaßen. Er zieht als Hurrikan der Kategorie 2 weiter Richtung Houston. Zurück hinterlässt er eine Schneise der Zerstörung. Die gesamte Küstenregion in und um Galveston gleicht einem Trümmerfeld. Es ist kaum zu erkennen, dass dies einmal Häuser waren. Diese Häuser standen hier, solange ich denken kann. Jetzt sind sie einfach weg. Auch im Inland richtet Ike Schäden in Millionenhöhe an. Ganze Landstriche sind überschwemmt, Dächer werden abgedeckt, die Stromversorgung ist in vielen Orten vollständig zusammengebrochen. Doch während seines Zuges über die Metropole Houston schwächt sich der Sturm ab. Am Nachmittag stuft das nationale Hurrikanzentrum Ike zu einem Tropensturm mit Windgeschwindigkeiten von 95 Stundenkilometern herab. Langsam können die Menschen in Texas also aufatmen. Tropensturm Ike zieht weiter nach Norden. Das Schlimmste ist vorbei. Doch der Schaden wird auf mehr als 15,3 Milliarden Dollar geschätzt.
Und telefonisch zugeschaltet ist uns jetzt Klimaexperte Carsten Smeet von Greenpeace. Herr Smeet, derartige Wirbelstürme häufen sich. Woher genau kommt das?
Ja, im Pazifik ist im Moment das Wasser sehr, sehr warm, über 27 Grad. Dort steigt das Wasser auf, verdunstet und bildet eben feuchtwarme Luftmassen, die sich im Wirbel dann auf die USA zubewegen und dort diese zerstörerischen Auswirkungen haben.
Was würden Sie als Klimaexperte sagen, wenn Sie ein Zukunftsbild entwerfen müssten? Wie sieht unsere Welt aus Ihrer Sicht in 100 Jahren aus in Bezug auf Stürme, Orkane, Unwetter etc.?
Also wenn wir weiter so viel Treibhausgase in die Luft pusten, dann müssen wir mit katastrophalen Folgen rechnen. Dann wird die Intensität von den Hurrikans zunehmen und das Zerstörungspotenzial auch sich nochmal dramatisch steigern. Aber es liegt auch an uns. Wir können das Gefährliche noch abwenden. Wir können einen gefährlichen Klimawandel verhindern. Dann, wenn wir die Treibhausgase drastisch senken, wenn wir überall auch keine Kohlekraftwerke mehr bauen.
Was meinen Sie aus Ihrer Sicht? Was müsste die Politik anschieben?
Also wir haben seit 10, 20 Jahren dieses Problem eigentlich auf die viel zu leichten Schultern genommen. Wir müssen jetzt ein Notprogramm aufstellen, um die Treibhausgase deutlich zu senken. Wir müssen massiv in erneuerbare Energien investieren und wir müssen vor allen Dingen damit aufhören, klimaschädliche Kraftwerke zu bauen, also gerade Kohlekraftwerke, wie sie hier in Deutschland auch in der Planung sind, den Bau von Kohlekraftwerken stoppen.
Das war Ihre Einschätzung zur Politik. Und was könnte jetzt jeder Einzelne von uns tun?
Ja, jeder Einzelne kann natürlich dazu auch beitragen. Das heißt, indem er seinen Lebensstil überprüft, indem er nicht mehr so viel fliegt, indem er zu einem ökologischen Stromanbieter wechselt, der atomfreien und klimafreundlichen Strom wechselt. Das alles kann jeder Einzelne auch machen.
Dann hoffen wir, dass viele diese Tipps beherzigen. Vielen Dank für diese Einschätzungen, Carsten Smeet von Greenpeace. Und eine aktuelle Einschätzung zu Hurrikan Ike jetzt auch von unserem Meteorologen Björn Alexander aus der NTV-Wetterredaktion.
Trotz der enormen Größe von Hurrikan Ike waren es wahrscheinlich dann doch nur wenige Kilometer, die über das Ausmaß der Schäden entschieden haben. An der Stärke selber Hat es nämlich kaum gelegen. Erwartet wurde ein Landfall als Kategorie 3 Hurricane. Tatsächlich fehlten bei Ike nur 3 km/h zum Erreichen der 3. Kategorie. Mit mittleren Winden von Tempo 175 ist er nämlich an Land gegangen. Eine Sturmflut von bis zu 7,60 Meter war prognostiziert worden. Tatsächlich wurden knapp über 7 Meter gemessen, und zwar auf der Halbinsel Bolivar, nur wenige Kilometer östlich von Galveston, wo das Wasser hingegen knapp über 3 Meter über Normal erreichte. Grund war unter anderem, dass Ike schlussendlich mit seinem Kern über den Großraum Houston hinweggezogen ist. Und dort waren die Winde natürlich auch extrem heftig. Die höchsten Fluten und die gefährlichsten Wellen dürfte es allerdings weiter östlich gegeben haben. Nämlich genau dort, wo die südlichen Hurrikanewinde die Wassermassen am längsten und am stärksten an die Küste drückten.
Dort steht das Wasser heute zum Teil noch so hoch, dass die Rettungskräfte kaum durchkommen. Unsere Reporterin Katrin Sandmann hat sich in Galveston umgeschaut.
Bis zu den Hüften stehen sie im Wasser, keine Frage. Die Insel Galveston vor der texanischen Küste hat es am schlimmsten abbekommen.
Das ist die Seite der Insel Galveston, wo Ike das erste Mal an Land gekommen ist. Und hier, wo wir jetzt gerade sind, das war einmal die Strandpromenade. Aber wenn man sich anguckt, wie das hier jetzt aussieht, das wird lange dauern, bis hier wieder einigermaßen Ordnung reingekommen ist. Und vor wenigen Minuten hat die Bürgermeisterin von Galveston gesagt, dass die Insel jetzt offiziell gesperrt ist.
Dieser Schutzwall sollte eigentlich die Menschen der Insel vor Sturmfluten und Hurrikans schützen.
Wenn man sich jetzt aber das Haus da hinten anguckt, dann sieht man auch, dass das nicht viel geholfen hat. Hier etwas weiter rechts ist eins vollkommen abgetragen worden. Gott sei Dank waren das keine Wohnhäuser, das sind Geschäfte gewesen. Und wenn man sich jetzt anguckt, wo die gelandet sind, auf der Strandpromenade, dieses ganze Holz, diese ganzen Trümmer, das waren mal Häuser, die auf Stelzen in der See standen.
Und was Sturm und Wasser nicht zerstörten, das besorgten zahlreiche leckgeschlagene Gasleitungen.
Hurricane Ike hat nicht nur durch seine Windkraft für Zerstörung gesorgt, man kann es hier sehr gut sehen in Galveston. Es sind auch etliche Brände ausgebrochen, auch andernteils in Texas. Und wenn die Menschen, die hier evakuiert worden sind, zurückkommen, dann werden sie feststellen müssen, dass von dem, wofür sie ein Leben lang gearbeitet haben, wirklich gar nichts mehr übrig ist.
Dieser Mann schaut nach dem Haus von Freunden und ist erschüttert. Es ist eine Tragödie, sagt er mir, um Fassung ringend. Tausende Häuser einfach weg. Und Häuser sind bei weitem nicht das Einzige, was Ike zerstört hat.
Es ist keine 24 Stunden her, dass Ike Galveston, was hinter uns liegt, schwer verwüstet hat. Aber man sieht, die Behörden hier haben aus dem Wirbelsturm Katrina immer mehr gelernt. Denn jetzt kommt massenweise Hilfe vom Heimatschutzministerium und von der Katastrophenschutzbehörde.
Conditions are hard too for relief agencies who are trying to bring in much needed supplies.
It's hard because, you know, people need help right now, but with the wind still being as high as it is, with the water still being up, trees being down, you know, it's a safety factor for our volunteers as well, that it's going to take us a little time to get people here to help. You know, we hope that everybody would have left the area and gotten to safe shelter away.
The US government is helping with relief efforts after a storm that displaced many and damaged much, but that something could have been even worse. Rajesh Merchandani, BBC News in Houston, Texas.
Let's take a look. Beach. There's a memorial here from the 1900 hurricane that killed anywhere from 6,000 to 8,000 people. It is the benchmark of hurricanes and of all natural disasters to ever hit the United States. And of that memorial, there's a statue and there's also a plaque. The plaque is a brass plaque that was on top of granite. That was on top of a cement block. That was completely removed by the storm. But the actual statue looks virtually untouched. So almost a symbolic gesture to say, hey, Ike, you may have given us a good pounding here, and we're certainly going to be reeling for this for months, if not years. But Galveston, like in the last hurricane, will come back. The island Rosemary is closed for the most part. People are still not allowed to come in. There's no water, there's no power. I don't know when that's going to happen. So they are in big-time recovery mode here, and it will definitely be months, if not several years, before this town is back on its feet. Rosemary?
And Rob, you had a chance to talk to a number of people there. Why did so many people ignore the mandatory evacuation order? What are they saying about that?
You know, people get caught up in the category ones, the categories, the categories of the storm. And a lot of folks said, well, if it was a 3 or a 4, you know, maybe we would leave. They also remember Hurricane Rita, which was supposed to come here back in 2005, and there was mass evacuations, and the evacuations did not go well. And that storm ended up veering off towards the north. So I think that's part of the reason why so many stayed behind. And there were dire warnings from the National Weather Service the day before this storm hit, saying that if you live in a 1 or 2 bedroom home unprotected from the seawall, you will face certain death, something that I've never seen out of the National Weather Service. So we'll have to see when the floodwaters finally recede, and it may still take several days. It'll be an hour-by-hour, day-by-day situation before each and every structure is cleared and searched, before we know the actual number of fatalities, if there are any, at least here in Galveston. Hopefully that number remains at 0. If that's the case, Rosemary, it would be something. It would be something short of a miracle, and we're certainly hoping for that this morning.
Yeah, I think you're certainly right. Rob Marciano reporting there from Galveston. Thanks so much for that. Well, U.S. President George W. Bush has declared a major disaster in both Texas and Louisiana. Washington plans to offer aid in both state and local recovery efforts. In Louisiana, Hurricane Ike's immense storm surge breached levees and flooded tens of thousands of homes and made many roads impassable along that coast. Now, the storm didn't score a direct hit on the state, but its surge swept about 50 kilometres inland. Some 600 people have been rescued from the floodwaters. And just this quick programming note for you. The head of the Federal Emergency Management Agency will be on CNN. Wolf Blitzer will ask David Paulison about how the government is dealing with the hurricane's aftermath. That's coming up in 4 hours at 1500 GMT. Well, we hear Ike has weakened. Let's get a closer look at weather conditions, though, turning to our Lola Martinez. Lola, it has weakened, but that's the thing. It was interesting talking to Rob, saying people didn't take heed of that mandatory evacuation because of the category. But that wasn't really the point, was it?
It wasn't, Rosemary. You know, it's such an incredible system, and that was what people had completely forgotten because, yeah, it did make landfall as a Category 2, strong Category 2, but it was so massive. It nearly was about 80% of the Gulf of Mexico. So with a storm like that, that is something to bear in mind. Even a Category 1, tropical storms can be massively damaging. Take a look at this now. It is a tropical depression, and this is the size of it. We're actually seeing the potential for still isolated tornadoes, heavy rain, flooding. So you name it, Rosemary, they are very, very dangerous storms. They don't need to have a Category 3, 4, or even 5. They can be much less than that. Well, our reporters have been on it, and they've been sending us incredible pictures. Take a look at these, because these are rather recent. These are the latest ones that we just received after Ike made a punch and moved ashore early Saturday morning, bringing with it torrential rains, gusty winds over 200 kilometers per hour. The city of Galveston was first hit, and we can see so much of that damage here. Downtown Houston was also impacted, where windows from these skyscrapers were completely blown out. Well, let me quickly show you how and where this system is headed, because we will be talking about it for quite some time, as Rob was saying, because of the power outages. But during the day today, the major problem is going to be the flooding. And take a look at this. It will be interacting with a new weather front. So along all this central part of the United States, isolated tornadoes and the potential for more flooding. We'll be talking about it throughout the weekend, even into Monday. Rosemary, back to you.
Und da gehen wir in die USA. Nachdem der Hurricane Ike mit seiner gewaltigen Kraft über die texanische Küste gezogen ist, wird jetzt nach den Überlebenden der Katastrophe gesucht. 140.000 Menschen hatten die Aufforderung ignoriert, sich in Sicherheit zu bringen. Viele Küstenbewohner sind nun von den Fluten eingeschlossen. In dem ganzen Chaos gibt es noch kein klares Bild. Erste Schätzungen rechnen mit Schäden von bis zu 100 Milliarden $. Aus dem Katastrophengebiet berichtet unser USA-Korrespondent Ulrich Oppold.
Black Hawk-Helikopter kreisen über dem Katastrophengebiet. Sie versuchen, den Menschen zu Hilfe zu kommen, die noch immer von den Wassermassen eingeschlossen sind. Es ist die größte Rettungsaktion der texanischen Geschichte.
Die wichtigste Autobahn nach Galveston hier, die Interstate 45, gleicht einem Trümmerfeld. Da wurden Möbel, Kühlschränke, ganze Motorboote auf die Fahrbahn geschleudert. Man sieht, mit welch ungeheurer Naturgewalt Hurricane Ike hier über die Küste hereingebrochen ist. Und die Häuser dort drüben, die stehen immer noch einige Meter unter Wasser.
Mit Jetski und Booten suchen rund 1000 Katastrophenhelfer systematisch die Straßen und Häuser nach Hilfsbedürftigen ab. Die meisten Wohngebiete der 60.000 Einwohnerstadt Galveston sind überflutet.
Der Hurrikan hat weite Küstenregionen hier in eine Seenlandschaft verwandelt. Man sieht es ganz gut dort unten. Viele Straßen sind blockiert, stehen zum Teil meterhoch unter Wasser. Und vor allem sind einige Landkreise und kleinere Städte noch immer von der Außenwelt abgeschnitten.
Mitten im Chaos treffen wir Doug Zill. Er war im Sturm mit dem Auto unterwegs und wäre dabei fast ertrunken. Mein Wagen wurde von der Straße gespült. Da kam plötzlich eine riesige Welle. Ich konnte mich gerade noch auf einen Baum retten. Da hing ich dann die ganze Nacht, 6 Stunden lang. In dieser Zeit hat Hurrikan Ike an der Küste Zehntausende Häuser zerstört. In einigen Gebieten sieht es aus wie nach einem Bombenangriff.
Es wird wahrscheinlich noch einige Tage dauern, bis das ganze Wasser hier abgelaufen ist. Präsident Bush hat die Küstenregion von Texas zum Katastrophengebiet erklärt. Und die Behörden haben außerdem eine Ausgangssperre verhängt, um Plünderungen zu vermeiden.
Noch immer müssen mehrere Millionen Menschen in Texas ohne Strom auskommen. Die Behörden schätzen den Schaden auf 80 bis 100 Milliarden Dollar.
Zurückgelassen hat er eine Trümmerlandschaft an der texanischen Küste. Jetzt beginnt die eigentliche Arbeit der Rettungsmannschaften. Sie durchsuchen die Schuttberge nach möglichen Opfern. Immerhin hatten sich rund 140.000 Menschen der Evakuierung widersetzt und sind allen Warnungen zum Trotz daheim geblieben.
Jedes einzelne Haus wird nun abgesucht. Die größte Rettungsaktion in der Geschichte des Staates Texas läuft. Mit Helikoptern holen die Helfer Menschen aus überfluteten Häusern. Wasser und Lebensmittel für die, die nicht gehen wollen. Unsere oberste Priorität ist es, Menschen zu retten. Ich bedanke mich bei all denen, die so hart arbeiten, um unsere Mitbürger aus der Gefahr zu bringen. Die Küstenstadt Galveston ist zu großen Teilen verwüstet. Von vielen Häusern stehen nur noch die Stelzen. Von den Restaurants an der Küstenpromenade blieb nicht viel übrig. Boote wurden auf Schnellstraßen geschleudert. Sherry Robillard war in letzter Sekunde geflohen. Nun kommt sie zurück in ihr Haus und findet nur Trümmer. So hoch stand das Wasser, man sieht es an der Wand. 2 kleine Labrador-Welpen hatte sie hier zurückgelassen. Sie sind in ihrem Käfig ertrunken. Das war's, jetzt haben wir nichts mehr. Alles, was wir hatten, ist zerstört. Anderen flog ihr Haus buchstäblich um die Ohren. Das ganze Dach nahm Ike mit. Meine Schwester ist fast rausgesogen worden. Sie flog weg. Mein Vater konnte sie gerade noch festhalten. Es wird Wochen dauern, bis das Wasser abgeflossen, der Strom wiederhergestellt sein wird. Der Gesamtschaden durch Ike wird auf mehr als 15 Milliarden Dollar geschätzt.
Unserem Korrespondenten Matthias Vornow ist es gelungen, dahin vorzudringen, wo der Hurrikan am stärksten gewütet hat. Matthias, was haben Sie unterwegs gesehen?
Ja, wir sind gerade durch einen total verwüsteten Landstrich gefahren. Da waren kaputte Autos, da waren kaputte Häuser, da sind Boote bis auf die Brücke geschleudert worden von den Wassermassen, die dieser Hurrikan vor sich hergedrückt hat, auf die Brücke, die das Festland mit der Halbinsel Galveston verbindet, auf der ich jetzt hier stehe. Hier ist Hurrikan Ike an Land gegangen und man sieht hinter mir die Trümmer, die mit schwerem Räumgerät bereits zusammengefahren worden sind und auch das Hotel, an dem man sieht, dass hier kein Gebäude unversehrt geblieben ist. Nach dem, was ich gerade gesehen habe, wird es Wochen, wenn nicht Monate dauern, um diese Katastrophe hier, die die schwerste ist seit Jahrzehnten in Texas, aufzuräumen.
Vielen Dank.
Der Teilchenbeschleuniger LHC im Europäischen Kernforschungszentrum bei Genf ist erneut abgeschaltet worden, diesmal für mindestens 2 Monate. Erst am vergangenen Wochenende war die weltgrößte Forschungsmaschine, mit der Wissenschaftler den Urknall simulieren wollen, vorübergehend abgestellt worden. Schuld an der Panne ist diesmal die Überhitzung eines gigantischen Magneten, der den rasend schnellen Teilchenstrahl im Zaum halten soll.
Im Kühlsystem musste er abgeschaltet werden für voraussichtlich 2 Monate. Die Reparatur soll so lange dauern, weil die betroffene Stelle im Tunnel erst aufgewärmt werden muss von minus 271 Grad Celsius auf Normaltemperatur. Das Europäische Kernforschungszentrum CERN will mit dem Teilchenbeschleuniger unter anderem erkunden, was kurz nach dem Urknall geschah.
Der 44 Jahre alte Thomas Dörflein wurde am Mittag leblos in einer Berliner Wohnung gefunden. Einzelheiten von Sabine Friedrich und Friederike Holzrichter.
Er war der wohl berühmteste Zoo-Mitarbeiter. Die Bilder von ihm und Knut gingen um die ganze Welt. In diesem Haus im Berliner Stadtteil Wilmersdorf wurde Thomas Dörflein am Mittag gefunden. Vielleicht die Wohnung seiner Lebensgefährtin. Die Nachricht von seinem Tod löst bei den Berlinern Bestürzung aus.
Das ist traurig, das ist wirklich traurig.
Bedauerlich, denn das war ja mal wirklich einer, der sich hinten rangeklemmt und wirklich was für die kleinen Tiere getan hat, der sich viel Mühe gegeben hat. Und man hat gesehen hat, wie er den kleinen Bären da aufgezogen hat.
Dörflein war Ende 2006 eingesprungen, als Bärenmutter Tosca den kleinen Knut ablehnte. Er päppelte das nur 800 Gramm schwere Baby mit der Flasche auf. Er zog in den Zoo, verbrachte 150 Nächte bei Knut, sogar Weihnachten war er bei ihm. Es war Liebe auf den ersten Blick.
Das erste Mal die Augen öffnen, das war sehr, sehr berührend. Und als er so schwer krank war und sich doch wieder aufgerappelt hat, das waren sehr berührende Momente.
Millionen Besucher belagerten Knuts Gehege im Berliner Zoo und ihre Zuneigung übertrug sich auch auf seinen Ziehvater. Liebesbriefe, Heiratsanträge, vor allem beim weiblichen Geschlecht kam seine Bärenliebe an. Für seinen Einsatz rund ums Bärenbaby bekam er sogar das Landesverdienstkreuz verliehen. Es war einer der seltenen Auftritte mit seiner Lebensgefährtin und deren Sohn. Dörflein hinterlässt 2 erwachsene Kinder. Hinweise auf Fremdverschulden oder Selbstmord gebe es nicht, erklärte die Polizei. Angeblich soll Dörflein seit längerem schwer krank gewesen sein.
Der Knut den Eisbären zur Weltprominenz peppelte. Jetzt ist Thomas Dörflein in Berlin mit 44 Jahren gestorben. Er wurde tot aufgefunden. Weitere Einzelheiten sind nicht bekannt. Dörflein hatte Knut, der von seiner Mutter verstoßen worden war, mit der Flasche aufgezogen. Wochenlang lebte er mit dem Eisbärenjungen im Zoo. Diese Bilder der beiden gingen um die Welt. Seit Ende letzten Jahres galt ein Spielverbot zum Schutz des Tierpflegers.
Hello and welcome to Worldwide Watch on CCTV International. I'm Zhou Yue in Beijing. Let's begin with the Shenzhou 7 spaceship, which is being transported to the Jiuquan launching pad in northwest China's Gansu province. This means China's 3rd manned spaceflight is now in its final stage of preparation. Engineers say if the fine weather continues, Shenzhou 7 can expect to blast off late next week. Wang Xiqing has the story.
The Shenzhou 7 rocket was transported in an upright position, bundled together with the manned spacecraft, the escape tower, and the Long March propelling rocket. This combined structure moved along a 1,500-meter-long rail at a precise speed of 28 meters per minute. Accompanying engineers also kept a close eye on wind speed, just in case wind velocity exceeded 10 meters per second. They were careful to make 2 stops just to check the state of the equipment.
Transportation causes vibrations, and if the frequency of the vehicle's vibration matches that of the rockets, this can damage parts of the spacecraft. We must make sure that doesn't happen.
The whole process took just over an hour. Now firmly positioned in its launching pad, Shenzhou 7 is all set to take off with 3 astronauts on board next week. One of them is scheduled to take a walk in outer space. Wang Xiqing, CCTV.
10、9、8、7、6、5、4、3、2、1，点火！起飞！起飞！7021时10分04秒988毫秒！7021时10分04秒988毫秒。双程雷达跟踪正常。
Now, the Long March 2F Y7 rocket has so far successfully blasted into space from the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center in northwestern China's Gansu province. And this is the view, I believe, Mr. Yang, we are seeing from a camera that's attached to the site of
this position?
Yes, and this is something new.
No, it's the same with,
it's the same with every.
With the last.
Now the boosters will be separated from the body of the rocket. We have already heard people cheering and applauding in the control rooms. Some success has been achieved so far. Now another stage has been carried out. And we're just less than a minute from the launch of the rocket. Again, we're seeing live picture coming out of the re-entry module where the 3 astronauts are enjoying their first flight into outer space. The launch together with the re-entry are the most crucial missions in such a space flight. Now the fairing, if I'm right with the technical term, has been separated from the launch vehicle, another stage of success. From the conversation coming out of the command center, all is going well so far. All tracking satellites are functional properly at this moment as well. Again, this is the surveillance video coming from the site of the Long March rocket. The real-time video coming from the Long March rocket. The 3 astronauts still remain in the same position, but making body movements. More normalcy are being reported. The rocket is being properly tracked by all kinds of tracking systems. Everything is going normal according to the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center. From a control station located in East China's Shandong province from the city of Qingdao, the signals there show that everything is going fine as well.
青山 USB 跟踪正常，遥测信号正常，雷达跟踪正常，遥测信号正常，东风飞行正常。双重雷达跟踪正常。宇良山脉空连续波雷达跟踪正常。青岛 USD 雷达跟踪正常，遥测信号正常。东风飞行正常。
People are already celebrating as more good news are coming in, reporting normal functioning of all tracking systems, showing that the mission is on track so far.
渭南 USB 雷达跟踪正常，遥测信号正常。渭南飞行正常。
The 3 astronauts are waving to people back home. I think they want to say that they are feeling fine so far.
宇良雷达跟踪正常。渭南 USB 雷达跟踪正常，遥测信号正常。青岛 USB 雷达跟踪正常，遥测信号正常。
So it seems that the launch has been a successful one. Can we say that, Mr. Young?
Yes. So till now, everything goes smoothly. And we can see the onboard camera shows the separations of the boosters. And now the most dangerous flight segment is over. So it goes to the second stage flight.
连续波雷达跟踪正常。青岛渭南 USB 雷达跟踪正常，遥测信号正常。
More reports of normalcy from all tracking stations. People are taking pictures and applauding, celebrating the success of the launch. Now the spaceship and the how should we say this? 船舰分离.
The
what
separation.
does that mean?
The separation of the spaceship and the launch.
Right now we're looking at image of Shenzhou 7. Is that real-time image or
No.
simulated image?
The left side is the real time, and the right side is simulated as on a computer.
航标5号 USB 雷达跟踪正常，遥测信号正常。
But the solar panels are yet to be unfolded from what we're seeing now.
We can see the signal sent back to the Earth. We can confirm if the solar panel deployed properly.
航标5号 USB 雷达跟踪正常，遥测信号正常。塔145指令发出。东 3班展开指令发出。太阳3班展开正常。
Now the solar panels under command have been unfolded successfully.
航天5号跟踪正常，遥测信号正常。各位注意，我是华生，处理根数，传电根数发出，北京，明白？东风，明白？
So, Professor Lewis, you have been observing very closely the whole process. Tell us some of your impressions so far.
This is what we call a textbook flight so far.
Textbook flights.
Yes.
Meaning it's done so perfectly that it can be...
This is what you use as an illustration of how to do it.
Everything is according to schedule. It's a perfect launch. Yeah.
But the launch period, the launch phase is not over yet, or is it over?
It's over, yeah. And now we're waiting for the injection accuracy or injection parameters to be measured from the ground station in 30 minutes.
In 30 minutes time,
yes.
After launch?
Yes, after separation.
After separation?
Yes.
So now the Shenzhou 7, the spacecraft, is entering the orbit or has already entered orbit?
It's already into the orbit, but it's not the final orbit. It's an elliptical orbit, and the final orbit is the circular orbit.
Mm-hmm.
At the moment, they're in an orbit that passes through the upper atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to lift the perigee, the lowest point on the orbit, out of the atmosphere by applying an extra impulse out here. That would make a nearly circular orbit. Otherwise, the orbit would decay very quickly.
And Chinese President Hu Jintao has been watching the whole launch process together with other senior Chinese leaders in the Jiuquan Launch Center. The Chinese government, the Chinese people have attached a lot of importance to the Shenzhou 7 mission. And now we're looking at the Beijing Aerospace Control and Command Center here in the Chinese capital. And more state leaders are seated here, monitoring the whole process. So we are still awaiting the official announcement of the results of the launch. Right now we're looking at Shenzhou 7 from a different angle. The solar panels have successfully unfolded under command from the control center. The task of the rocket, which is a Long March 2F Y7, has officially concluded successfully.
各号注意，我是北京。根据北京实时轨道和下行遥测监视判断，神舟7号飞船正常入轨，入轨参数为近地点高度200.1公里，近地点高度200.1公里，远地点高度346.8公里，远地点高度346.8公里。
Now Shenzhou 7 has been declared into the right orbit schedule.
周期1小时29分50秒，周期1小时29分50秒。飞船3板展开正常，返回舱压力正常，航天员身体状况良好。北京出轨帧数及船舰分离点参数已向各方向发出。 后续工作按照正常飞行计划实施。东方。
So the following stages can be carried out according to the original schedule, and all statistics show things are going well so far. So we are at the second stage of this mission. Am I right?
Yes.
Can we say this after the launch? Now the Shenzhou 7 is on its own, but it has energy.
Yes.
From.
Yes. It has its own propulsional system to raise the orbit from the initial orbit to the final orbit of the circular.
How fast is it traveling now?
And now it's travel fast near 8,000 meters per second.
明白，各号注意收听。
尊敬的胡主席、
Respected
各位领导、
President Hu Jintao,
各位来宾、
dear senior
同志们
leaders, distinguished
根据北
guests,
京航
comrades,
天指挥控制中心报告，
according to the reports
神舟7号
by the Beijing
载人
Aerospace
飞
Command
船
and Control
已进
Center,
入预定轨道。
the manned
现在我宣
spacecraft
布
Shenzhou 7
神
has
舟7
successfully
号
entered
载
its
人飞
orbit,
船
and now I
发
hereby
射
announce the
圆满
launch
成功。
was totally successful.
现在，请胡主席
Now please
发表
welcome
重要讲话。
President Hu Jintao to deliver a very important speech.
同志们，
Comrades,
神舟7号飞船发
Shenzhou
射
7 spacecraft has successfully been
标
launched.
志着这次载
This
人航天
symbolizes
飞行任务
The manned
首战
spaceflight
告急。
mission has achieved its initial success.
我代表党中央
On behalf of the CPC Central Committee, the State Council, the Central Military Commission,
向参加这一次任务的
I wish to
全体科
extend
技工作者
my deepest gratitude and respect to all those who have participated in
表
this
示
mission,
热烈的祝贺。
and congratulations.
实施神舟7号载人航天
Implementing this manned space flight mission
最具代表性、
is
最具
a
影响力
representative
的
mission for our country
重大
at
科
state
研
level
实践
this
活动，
year in the science and
中国人民
technology field.
攀登世界科技高峰的又一
It
伟
is
大壮举。
Another milestone in
这一次
Chinese
飞行中
people's march
我国
towards
航天员
aerospace science
将首次
and mission in
实施
space.
空间
This
翱
time,
翔活
Chinese
动
astronauts will participate
任务技
in
术难
a
度更
spacewalk
大，
for the first time ever.
可靠性要
And
求
this means
更
that
高
the，challenges and technological
状
difficulties
态
have
变
been
化较多，
raised to a higher
对
level.
任务的组织实施提出了更
This
高
has
的标
put
准。
greater pressure and request
在神舟7号飞船
on the
顺利升
organization
空
and the total planning of this mission. After the spacecraft has accurately entered into orbit,
再
I
接
hope
再
that
厉，
everyone here
聚精会神地做好各项
would
后续
be
工作，
very serious and
夺取
have a
神舟
careful
7号任
attitude
务的
towards all the
全面
post-launch
胜利。
activities to ensure its complete success.
"现场首长讲话完毕。您好，4号定律，今天的发射任务到此结束，按计划做好后续各项工作。5大好，5大好。今天的发射到此结束，4号可以关机，关掉了，再见。
Thank you for your effort. Congratulations.
We're still looking at live pictures coming out of the Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center in Gansu Province in northwestern China, where Chinese President Hu Jintao just gave a speech congratulating all the scientists and staff who have contributed to the success so far of the launch of Shenzhou 7 into orbit. He, after the speech, went walkabout and shake hands with the people who have been working very hard to ensure the success of the launch vehicle. Once again, a very historic moment for China's space exploration program. China's first manned space flight has just been lifted into space in Shenzhou 7. Now the spacecraft is officially in its scheduled orbit. More Chinese leaders are congratulating scientists who have been working very hard over the past 3 years for the success of the Shenzhou 7 mission. And we have just seen the success of the first phase, which is the launch of the Shenzhou 7 spacecraft into its scheduled orbit. Over the next 3 days, Shenzhou 7 will be orbiting the Earth, and the 3 astronauts on board will be performing the first extravehicular activity or spacewalk by Chinese astronauts. So more exciting moments are still awaiting us ahead in the next 3 days. This is the scene coming out of the Beijing Jiuquan Satellite Launch Center. 30 minutes after the launch of Shenzhou 7 into orbit. Chinese President Hu Jintao is congratulating with each and every scientist who has made their contribution to the success of the launch of Shenzhou 7. Once again, we have 3 gentlemen here in the studio who have been witnessing this historic moment together with us. Mr. Yang Jianming, an expert in launch vehicle technology, Professor Lewis from the University of Arizona, and our current affairs commentator, Victor Gao Zhikai. Now, Victor, let me start from you. What's your impression watching the thing here live?
Breathtaking, spectacular, and magnificent launch. It's everything is according to the plan, according to the schedule, and I think as planned, it only took 580 seconds between ignition and reaching the designated.
So you actually calculated?
Not according to the previous announcement, actually. And then, as verified by the announcement just now, almost minute by minute or second by second. So I think this is really a very, very successful launch into the orbit of Shenzhou 7. We are so happy about that.
Mr. Yang, your impression?
Yeah, I'm so excited. So the launch is ignited or take off at the exact time and into the desired orbit. It's just like a textbook flight. As I'm so excited.
Professor Lewis, 30 minutes after the launch, were you kind of just rest assured of this was going to happen anyways, or?
Well, that's the most likely outcome, certainly, just from a statistical point of view. But one cannot help but get engaged in a real launch. The most challenging part, the most dangerous part of the flight is over. The portion of the flight that is distinctive, that involves the new achievements, still lies before us. And we should not relax completely quite yet. There's a lot more to do.
Exactly. So a lot more to do. What next immediately? What's next for the 3 astronauts, for instance, Mr. Yang?
Yeah. Just at this time, the spaceship is flying in elliptical orbit, and the approach altitude decrease.
And we're looking at live pictures coming from within the re-entry module. The book was flying. What does that say? What does that mean?
Weightless.
Congratulations.
Zero gravity.
Oh, yeah.
So they're kind of doing this on purpose.
Yes.
It's a demonstration.
Demonstrate about zero gravity, yes.
The three astronauts seem to be quite relaxed. Yes.
If I may add one point, although we all know that these three astronauts have been preparing for this major moment ever since 1998, 10 years in a row, this is the first time ever for each one of these three astronauts to be really in outer space, to experience really, in person, the zero gravity and weightless situation. So I'm supposing that they are all very happy as a child, to experience for the first time in reality the zero gravity experience.
The real zero gravity. Or is there a difference between a simulated zero gravity or real gravity? Real zero gravity. We're looking at the three astronauts. I believe the one in the middle is Jia Zhigang. The one on the to his left or to our right, at the right bottom of the television is Liu Boming, and the one further to the left is Jing Haipeng. And again, they're flipping their notebooks into the air. If there's air, is there air in zero gravity? There is air. They're breathing. They're breathing. They open their mouth.
But there's no gravity.
But you do not open the window for better ventilation.
Yeah, how do they solve the problem of ventilation then? I mean,
you have to keep the air circulating.
Sure.
If you did not have fans, then each astronaut would inhale air and then exhale carbon dioxide, and it would stay right there. And they would inhale it again, So it's necessary to have the fans to mix the air.
Yeah.
China hat seinen dritten bemannten Weltraumflug gestartet. Der wichtigste Teil des Einsatzes ist der erste Allspaziergang eines Chinesen. Das Raumschiff Shenzhou 7 hob mit 3 Mann an Bord ohne Probleme ab. Präsident Hu Jintao feierte die Besatzung bereits bei ihrer Abreise von der Erde als Helden.
Chinese national television broadcast Thursday's evening launch live to the world. The mission and China's first spacewalk represents a very big step in China's technological development, according to Chinese President Hu Jintao. He addressed the crew in a formal ceremony before they boarded the spacecraft, expressing pride in their courage and China's ability to manufacture its own spacesuits. Vincent Sabatier is a senior fellow at the Center for Strategic and International Studies in Washington.
Now you have about 11 nations being able to launch, and 50 nations operating their satellites, their own satellites. So space is globalized, and other nations have developed significant capabilities. That means launch, telecom, Earth observation, even some human spaceflight capabilities in the case of China. And so you find more and more opportunities to cooperate outside of the two big players of the past.
In October 2003, China became the third country to conduct a manned space mission, following Russia and the United States. Moscow and Washington have been cooperating in space since the 1975 Apollo-Soyuz mission.
Glad to see you.
That spirit of cooperation has grown exponentially with the construction of the International Space Station. But for now, China continues to work alone.
When you look at the overall things that the Chinese are doing and developing their space program, they are definitely moving towards a space prowess capability for themselves, marching to their own drummer.
Charles Vick is a senior analyst at globalsecurity.org.
The United States does not consider China a partner versus the rest of the world because China has not signed the Missile Technology Control Regime or the Missile Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, and has not enforced it to the level and degree that the United States so desires. And therefore they are barred from being a part of the International Space Station, which they have wanted to be.
This is China's third manned space mission. China hopes to have its own space station in the next few years and land a man on the moon by 2020. Paul Sisko, VOA News.
Sich die chinesischen Astronauten auf ihren ersten Außeneinsatz vor. Dabei wollen sie einen neu entwickelten Weltraumanzug aus besonders biegsamem Material testen. Sie waren gestern gestartet. Es ist der dritte bemannte Weltraumflug in Chinas Geschichte. Das Vorhaben dient dazu, bis 2020 eine eigene Raumstation zu bauen.
This is typically recording the whole process of the EVA. We now seeing it's just a recording of the EVA, the process. Now he get his hand on the handlebar installed on the outside of the spaceship. So what is the use of the hook that he's using to attach himself, attach the tether to the body of the spaceship? What is the use of the hook?
I would have to guess, but it appears that he's attaching in two places.
Yeah.
And if you're attached in two places, then you can position yourself by pulling on one or the other of the ropes.
And also it ensures your safety, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It's a double insurance policy.
A double insurance. Because the Chinese ground control has always been asserting the importance of reliability and safety.
Yes. There used to be a sort of a mythology that the Russians took terrible risks in space. And as a matter of fact, they were extremely careful, with the sole exception of the Voskhod missions.
This is just the historic pictures. A Zhaijigang climbing, actually crawling along the body of the spacecraft. And now he's just letting himself float. Because actually spacewalk is not an exact word. It should be space float.
Yes, that would be better.
Because we don't have any solid ground to walk on. And now he unfurled actually then, several minutes ago, he unfurled the Chinese national flag. This is a very symbolic moment, of course. It is actually made of embroidered by those Chinese craftsmen here back on the ground. It, of course, boosted the morale of the whole bunch of people working behind this project. And this should be a very patriotic moment for the Chinese nation.
Greift nach den Sternen. 43 Jahre nach den Amerikanern hat jetzt auch ein chinesischer Astronaut einen Weltraumspaziergang unternommen. Mit der Nationalflagge in der Hand grüßte Zhaijigang sein Volk und alle anderen auf der Erde. Spontan klatschten die Menschen in den Städten Beifall, als sie ihren Landsmann auf Großleinwänden sahen. Das ehrgeizige Raumfahrtprogramm gilt der kommunistischen Führung als weitere Machtdemonstration.
Heute der 298. Weltraumspaziergang in der Geschichte der Raumfahrt stattgefunden. Das Besondere heute, es war zum ersten Mal ein chinesischer Raumfahrer. Der Taikonaut, so heißen die Astronauten in China, grüßte zur Premiere erstmal das chinesische Volk und dann die Menschen in aller Welt. Bei dem Außeneinsatz testete er außerdem einen neuen Raumanzug. China ist jetzt die dritte Nation nach den USA und Russland, die Raumfahrer auf Einsätze außerhalb eines Raumschiffs schicken kann.
Millionen seiner Landsleute verfolgten das historische Ereignis live im Fernsehen. Nach den USA und Russland ist China die dritte Nation, die Astronauten auf Einsätze außerhalb eines Raumschiffs schicken kann.
Es dauerte ein bisschen, bis er die Luke geöffnet hatte, dann war der Weg frei. Zhaijigang kletterte aus der Shenzhou 7, winkte und sagte unter dem Beifall des Kontrollzentrums: Ich fühle mich gut, ich grüße das chinesische Volk und die ganze Welt. Dann sicherte sich der Taikonaut und spazierte als erster Chinese 13 Minuten lang im All. Eine riskante Premiere, denn der Raumanzug, eine chinesische Neuentwicklung, wurde noch nie im Weltraum getestet. Kollege Liu hielt sich deshalb in einem russischen Raumanzug bereit, um im Notfall Hilfe leisten zu können. Chinas Führung feiert die dritte bemannte Mission als nationale Erfolgsstory und überlässt dabei nichts dem Zufall. Live im Fernsehen gratulierte Staats- und Parteichef Hu Jintao heute Abend den Taikonauten. Wie es ihnen gesundheitlich gehe, wollte er wissen. Gut, er bedanke sich bei Hu, der Partei und der Nation, verlas Kommandant Jai die vorbereitete Antwort. Der Ausflug ins All, ein Meilenstein in der noch jungen Raumfahrtgeschichte Chinas, wenn auch mit 40 Jahren Verspätung im Vergleich zu Russland und den USA. Doch die Volksrepublik hat ehrgeizige Zukunftspläne. Eine Raumstation ist das nächste, eine Mondlandung das übernächste Ziel.
He returned to his spacecraft after the historic walk, which lasted about 15 minutes. 2 other astronauts have been helping with a mission from the Chinese spacecraft, which is orbiting Earth. China sent its first man into space in 2003, becoming the 3rd nation after the United States and the former Soviet Union to do so.
Drive along Highway 58, about 100 miles from LA, and you'll find an airport like none other. An airport whose runways are the last stop on the line. From the road, it looks like an overcrowded airport during a strike by air traffic control. Cross the runways and you realize these are planes that have touched down for the last time. They've taxied to their final destination, Mojave, where planes come to die. Overseeing operations here for the past 26 years is Mike Potter, a former pilot who never stopped loving planes. He piloted this TWA Convair 880 into this airport for the last time.
Well, it's a resting place for old pilots and airplanes. And in a way, it brings tears to your eyes because most of the airplanes here I've flown. And I see them come in and I know it's their last flight.
Once they get here, the planes are usually repainted to spare the blushes of airlines still flying. But you can't run and hide. Obviously, that's a former KLM 747. And that's a Continental DC-10. It's difficult to know exactly how many planes are here. Some are in pieces, having been ripped open for parts. Those parts go on to breathe life into planes still in the skies. The desert is a perfect place to keep planes. The dry air means parts remain in good condition, which is why airlines also store planes here. If the aviation industry does get crushed, then it's good business for Mike Potter.
I expect that if the airline industry keeps going in the direction that it's headed right now, there'll be a couple hundred airplanes here in the next 12 to 18 months. And whether they go back into service or not will depend on the age category of the airframe.
With no passengers but lots of planes, this is a very special kind of place. All around me, evidence of an industry that's been brought to an all-time low. And there's every chance this graveyard will start filling up fast. Richard Quest, CNN, Mojave.
20 Tage bis zur Wahl und der Kandidat Obama ist dem Kandidaten McCain enteilt. 10 Prozentpunkte Vorsprung, die Umfragen spiegeln den Unmut im Lande. Alles ist außer Kontrolle geraten. Ich suche nach Arbeit und nichts geht. Keine Jobs mehr, kein Geld. Das ist absolut lächerlich. Die Republikaner waren die letzten 8 Jahre am Ruder. Wenn ein Unternehmen schlecht geführt wird, braucht es einen Wechsel. Jetzt ist Zeit für einen Wechsel. 90% der Befragten sehen die USA auf dem falschen Weg. Obamas Botschaft vom Wechsel kommt an. Er gilt jetzt als klarer Favorit. Es wäre sehr ungewöhnlich, wenn das Rennen sich noch drehen würde bei dem Vorsprung, den Obama hat. Bei Präsidentschaftswahlen ist das noch nie passiert. Die Umfragezahlen spiegeln die düstere Wirtschaftslage im Land. 1,6 Millionen Familien haben ihr Haus durch Zwangsvollstreckung verloren in nur einem Jahr. Vielen Bürgern droht der soziale Absturz. Endstation Parkplatz, der amerikanische Traum zerbröselt. Ganze Industriezweige leiden unter der Zurückhaltung der Käufer. Autos stehen wie Immobilien auf den Höfen der Händler. Jobs gehen verloren und die Börsen spielen verrückt. Das ist das Umfeld der Wahl. Im Kampf der Kandidaten nutzt die Krise Barack Obama, der früh schon Wechsel gefordert hat. John McCain läuft hinterher. Persönliche Attacken gegen Obama werden häufiger. Auch im Publikum liegen die Nerven blank. Wir sind stinksauer. Kauft euch diesen Obama. McCains Vizekandidatin Palin rückt Obama in die Nähe von Terroristen. Bei manchem kommt die Botschaft an. Ich habe Angst vor einem Präsidenten Obama, sagt er. John McCain verspricht, er werde Obama den Hintern versohlen im nächsten TV-Duell. Wut und drastische Worte, hilft das? 6 von 10 Befragten sagen, dass John McCain mehr Zeit damit verbringt, seinen Konkurrenten zu attackieren, als sich um die Inhalte zu kümmern. Dagegen sagen 7 von 10, dass Obama sich mehr um die Themen kümmert. Wie Anfang der 90er Jahre geht es nur noch um die Wirtschaft. Die Clintons kennen das. Wieder, sagen sie, muss ein Demokrat aufräumen. Damals Bill Clinton, heute Barack Obama. Obama selbst hat heute in Ohio nachgelegt mit einem Rettungsplan, der auf die Mittelschicht zielt. Er ist gespickt mit Wahlversprechen. Ich habe Steuersenkungen für 95% der Amerikaner vorgeschlagen. Heute rufe ich den Kongress auf, dafür zu sorgen, dass die Schecks mit den Steuerrückzahlungen möglichst schnell rausgehen. 22 Tage noch, dann entscheiden die amerikanischen Wähler den Kampf ums Weiße Haus. Dann wissen wir auch, was die Umfragen dieser Tage wirklich wert waren.
Eins waren sie wert. Sie erhöhen die Spannung und es wäre ein ungeheuerlicher Vorgang, wenn Barack Obama tatsächlich die Wahl gewinnen würde. Warten wir es ab. Zunächst noch mal Nachrichten mit Gundula.
Und wir bleiben in den USA. Im US-Bundesstaat Kalifornien bedroht ein Waldbrand die Metropole Los Angeles. Etwa 1200 Bewohner sind bereits vor den Flammen geflohen. Die Feuerwand zerstörte einige Wohnhäuser und hunderte Hektar Land. Starke Winde erschweren die Löscharbeiten. Die Brandursache ist noch unklar.
Вниз пойдешь? Вниз пойдем. Там будет идти это, мальчики. Прямо туда, что ли? Не, вот сюда, до середины. Там сюда снимал. Да ладно. отсюда, Петя, так. Так. Ну, один кадр, я ухожу. Андрей, пожалуйста. Так, ну не снимай. Hi. Andrew. Yeah. You good? Oh man, I'm so fucking good. Okay, do you need anything? All right, I'm gonna go run up with Owen. Yes, привет. Я один на этой стороне.
Полный рост. А горизонтально еще сделай. Нормально. А может поздороваемся?
Сейчас будет минус и раз. Сколько двигает. Сейчас посмотри, какой рукой он потянется туда. Я что ребята пошли туда. Ребята, откуда снимать? Вот с той стороны. Да, посмотри.
Good morning. Yura looks different than everybody else. don't want to even compare. How are you guys feeling? How's the mood? Everything seems fine. Today we have a regular training session. You have been provided with a plan. We are not going to repeat it. First crew starts working in the vehicle in reverse order, with the seats, with the liners, with all other hardware. Everything you need today, you will be provided with. Do you have any questions for us, Yuri? No, we don't have any questions. You guys are experienced crew members. This is your not first time in descent modules. We've seen different things during training. People breaking equipment and so on and so forth. We saw everything. So the more accurately you'll be working, the better. And good luck to you guys. Let's start working.
Обязательно. Угу.
Say hi to people, and there's always a surprise who shows up. For anything you know who's coming, and then probably Sergey will show up there. We'll help keep you fresh. Yeah, we all help each other. Like you made it easy. Why is you're not down in the seat? He's up on top of the headrest and he's давление растет, доложить давление в скафандре 0,1. То есть надо потом сразу встать. Ну уже всю основную часть просто в сторону. Пишем, что это. У нас замечательно. Надо быстрее. Пойдем пересекаться потом.
интересно вылазить.
Which way did you come out? Face down or face down?
Отлично. Ура.
Excellent.
Face down.
Пожалуйста, внимание. Отлично.
Не, нормально. Сейчас смотрите.
Сейчас, одну секунду. Все, спасибо большое.
Хороший корабль, хороший командир.
Good vehicle, good commander. We're lucky.
Где фотографии не купили? Туда.
Я ей сказал, что я сяду. Кому я буду мешать?
Можно 3 слова?
Can we say a few words? Tell us, please. Tell us, please. You guys are ready. How about the vehicle? Vehicle is in excellent shape. Leaves the finest impression, and we're extremely grateful to the team that was working on the vehicle. What will you be doing on the station? What will be your objectives? Our objective will be to prepare the crew for the station for the 6 crew operations. We hope that we will be the last 3-member crew. We hope the next crews will have 6 people in them, because this will open up new opportunities. So what we need to do is to prepare the equals, environmental control, water, and other systems. So this is our primary objective. Well, you've been up there. Isn't it going to be a little crowded there with 6 people? No, the station has grown, it's big, there's a lot of room, and people will not be bumping into each other. How about your spaceflight participant? Is he a tourist, is he a visitor, or is he a member of the crew?
A little bit of all 3. I definitely would like to demonstrate that private flyers can go up to the space station and do useful and productive work. But there's also...
Я думаю, немножко того, другого и третьего. Но вообще одной из моих целей является доказать, что частные клиенты, частные космонавты могут быть тоже продуктивным и полезным для станции.
But I also, for me individually, I have had the great joy to explore a great deal of the world in which we live, and so I'm also going as a personal exploration.
Richard, вы космонавт второго поколения.
Richard, you're a second-generation space flyer. Even the mission patch is modeled after your father's mission patch. Are you counting on his support during the flight?
There's no question that my father's time aboard Skylab has been a huge inspiration to my desire to fly.
Но, несомненно, то, что мой отец летал на Skylab, это, конечно, было вдохновлением для меня, чтобы полететь в космос.
And as you've noted, my personal patch is based upon my father's first space flight.
Ну и, как вы заметили, моя эмблема, она основана на эмблеме первого полета моего отца.
But my father has also helped me create my entire science and experiment program, and will be here today to finish his support with me through my entire flight up to launch and return.
Но кроме того, отец еще и помог мне составить всю экспериментальную и научную программу для всего полета. И также он сегодня сюда прилетает, и мы с ним проработаем всю программу.
And he's offered me a great deal of comfort and advice through this process.
И один вопрос для Майкла еще.
One question for Michael.
Секунда. Майкл, в Соединенных Штатах сейчас идут активные работы по программе.
In the US, programs Ares and Orion are going into the very active phase. These programs utilize the drop-down return module. We're hoping that your experience of flying the Soyuz vehicles will be helpful for this program. Well, I have been lucky in that I will have flown twice on the Soyuz vehicles. With our joint experience, we know that the programs that you have mentioned are going to be very helpful and very useful. I believe that the Soyuz technology should be utilized in our developments. I think together we will achieve success.
Так, слушаем. Юра, давай.
Okay, Yuri, we're listening. Nikolai Ivanovich, we are all very impressed after visiting the vehicle with the kids, with the cargo. Looks great. We can see how skillful were the hands that put together this wonderful machine. And it's very roomy compared to TMA-1 flight when we came back on TM-34. So thank you very, very much. I'll just say two words. Thank you very much. It's a beautiful vehicle. And it works very well.
Вместе все делают, собирают эти ракеты. Пойдемте посмотрим. Еще раз. Прекрасно. Не первый раз, да? Не первый раз. Вы сколько раз? 3-4 уже. Я в городе Рощинске. Здравствуйте. Здравствуйте. Для вас стараемся, чтобы все было очень-очень так приятно было прочитать, что вот Ричард очень увлекающий человек, несколько экспозиций участвовал. Но вот нет. Как всегда,
Вы долго по своему графику, без тех же 13 часов, новички, да, вот у нас
ваша бригада работает как ударник.
Еще одним фотоаппаратом.
Нет, меня уже погнали.
Зал Теренс?
Ну да. Я, блядь, впечатляю. Ладно, я не всех знаю.
Всех тебе не вижу.
Этот паркет.
Нет, 10 числа.
Майкл, ты поешь? Нет, ничего. Это наша, сейчас скажем, это шутка между экипажем.
Here, 40 kilometers away from the Tsuratam rail station, a new cosmodrome was built. And it was not a surprise to the locals because the Turkish folklore has always said that this area will see some grand things. Here you see works of artists dedicated to the Baikonur theme. These works were created in 60s and 70s.
На втором этаже. Но здесь обычно традиционная фотография, поэтому командиром, первым начальником нашего космодрома Байконур Нестеренко.
If we sign now,
Ну, когда это написано отжать, все надо отжимать.
Только потом насчет
Понятно.
Понятно. Теперь насчет выхода. Вот я уже говорил, что выход без суда.
Oh man, this is pretty good.
You know, we ought to get to, if you want, you ought to find a way to give me a lob, and I'll keep it with me for the next few days.
Oh man, that'd be great.
So of course, you know, these last few days prior to launch, there's you know, more interest in the launch event and the final preparations. So you may notice that we're surrounded by a couple dozen of lull before the storm.
Отлично. Everything is A-OK.
Beefy.
What an American astronaut is doing here.
What is he doing?
What do you do?
What am I doing? Yeah. I came here to be with my son for his launch in a few more days. And then also I will remain at the control center in Moscow for the mission, because I am also participating with him to make sure all of the coordination with experiments gets done successfully. He has many things to coordinate, for example, visual observations and other activities on board the ISS when he gets there. So I'm here to work with him before launch and then during the mission as well.
What do you think of the fight on Soyuz?
On Soyuz?
On Soyuz, because your son is using another ship to fly.
Yes, the Soyuz.
So what do you think of flying Soyuz?
The Soyuz is a very reliable vehicle, and very pleased that he has the chance to do this. And I'm sure that the Soyuz will be a very successful transport to the ISS, and so just quite pleased that Richard does have this opportunity.
You've helped your son to develop his space program. What exactly did you do?
I've helped with him a bit. He did not need a lot of help because he knows all of the activities. He's grown up with the space program in our home and in the Houston area near the Johnson Space Center. So he knows and knew beforehand most of everything that needed to be done. His real training has come with the Russians in Star City and at the training center. So I've not had to help him really, except in preparation for his flight. Much of the visual observations that he'll be taking photographs all around the world, most of them in the United States. And those are going to be for Nature Conservancy, for the Challenger Centers, for the Crew Observations Area. Many things related to his visual observations will be done, and I'll help him make sure that all of that gets coordinated properly. And then prior to flight, I've also been working with him to get ready one of the experiments that is done actually in my hometown, Huntsville, Alabama, where we have prepared a protein crystal growth experiment, which we brought Baikonur, and which he will be carrying with him on the Soyuz up to the ISS.
Город хорошая, перспективная. Ветер чуть-чуть. Что делать?
Так, не надо между экипажем находиться,
Девушка, да, ну, молодец, подруга. The park there, watch it. Молодец, кому-то держись, сказал. Майк. Фернер. Майкл. Осторожно, Майкл, осторожно. Лопата, 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 лопата. Майкл, возьми лопату. Казахская. Подержи, может, по мной ровненько там стоит. Да, дозвонился. Нет, это карагач. Say that shit, you're right.
And a fine tree it is.
Спасибо. Спасибо.
Так, табличку теперь надо.
Посадить табличку.
Вот так, да. И полить не надо.
Она не войдет, не нужно.
Why don't you work your way around to this end, Dad?
Я спросил.
It's out. It's out.
13 наш.
Что ж ты его слепишь-то своей вспышкой?
Actually, you know, all of this pulses of confidence, with our weapons. We all add weight on top of your ear.
Вот наш командир.
Aboard are Expedition 18 Commander Mike Fink and Expedition 18 Soyuz Commander and Flight Engineer Yuri Lonchikov, along with spaceflight participant Richard Garriott. The Soyuz capsule was mated to its booster 3 days ago, and the Soyuz rocket, which stands 162 feet tall and weighs 680,000 pounds, was transported by rail car to the launch pad at dawn Friday. That pad is the same one used 47 years ago to support the launch of Yuri Gagarin, the first human in space, in April 1961. Once launched, Lonchikov as Soyuz commander and Fink as the onboard Soyuz flight engineer will oversee several orbital correction burns using thrusters on the spacecraft to adjust its altitude relative to that of the International Space Station. After docking and hatch opening, the new crew will learn everything it can about the station from the current crew, Expedition 17 Commander Sergei Volkov, Flight Engineer Oleg Kononenko, and Flight Engineer Greg Chamatov. Volkov and Kononenko have been aboard the station since April. Chamatov joined them in June, arriving aboard shuttle mission STS-124. Chamatov will remain aboard and join Fink and Lonchikov on Expedition 18 until he is relieved by astronaut Sandy Magnus, who will fly to the station on shuttle mission STS-126, which is targeted to launch in mid-November. Making his second flight into space, NASA astronaut Mike Fink will become the first American to launch for a second time on a Soyuz vehicle. In 2004, he launched to the station and spent 188 days in space as a member of the 9th resident crew, during which he conducted 4 spacewalks. This will be Russian cosmonaut Yuri Lonchikov's 3rd trip to the station and his 2nd trip aboard a Soyuz. His first flew to the International Space Station in 2001 as a member of the STS-100 crew, a mission that delivered the Canadarm2 robotic arm to the station. He next visited the International Space Station in November 2002 as a member of the Soyuz TMA-1 taxi crew, delivering a fresh Soyuz vehicle to the station. This is the first flight for Richard Garriott, an American businessman flying to the station for a 9-day visit as part of a commercial contract with the Russian Federal Space Agency. Garriott also is the son of former NASA astronaut Owen Garriott, a veteran of the Skylab 3 crew in 1973, who set a world record for duration of approximately 60 days, more than double the previous record, and also conducted a spacewalk. The senior Garriott also served as a member of Shuttle Flight STS-9 in 1983, a multidisciplinary and international mission where he operated the world's first amateur radio station from space, which has since expanded to the International Space Station. This will be the first time that two second-generation space flyers, Richard Garriott and Expedition 17 Commander Sergei Volkov, son of veteran cosmonaut Alexander Volkov, will greet one another in space. Garriott will return to Earth with Volkov and Kononenko, with landing planned for October 23, U.S. time, on the steppes of Kazakhstan. This mission launches under the call sign Titan, symbolizing the strength of the metal titanium and symbolic of a race of powerful deities called the Titans that ruled during the legendary Golden Age. The talisman over the commander's seat is going to be a white polar bear that was carried aboard Soyuz TMA-1, Lonchikov's previous shuttle flight, given to him by one of his children as a good luck charm. With that, we have a prepared video that we can roll for you to show the preparations at the Baikonur Cosmodrome. The crew awakened just after 5:30 p.m. yesterday evening Central Time, or about 8.5 hours prior to launch. The crew members then participated in final traditional and required pre-launch activities. Before departing the crew quarters, a long-standing tradition of autographing the doorway from the crew quarters before they exit and head toward the suit-up building, which is building number 254 at Baikonur. Each crew member signs the door, a tradition for astronauts and cosmonauts flying aboard Soyuz spacecraft as they prepare to depart their crew quarters. We've been in those quarters for about a week and a half for final launch preparations. Here's Mike Fink signing his name to the door. And Soyuz commander and flight engineer for Expedition 18, Yuri Lonchikov, signing his signature to the door as well. The crew then departed the crew quarters after receiving a traditional blessing from a priest. The crew departing building number 254 and getting ready to board a bus to travel the short distance between the crew quarters in the cosmonaut building to the suit-up room in the integration building. This occurred just after 7 p.m. Houston time, just after 6 a.m. Baikonur time, about 7 hours prior to launch. Launch car being followed by Fink and Garriott as they board the bus.
See you there.
Expedition 18 Commander Mike Fink giving a thumbs up.
От автобуса отойдите, сейчас автобус поедет.
The crew arrived at Building 254 about 8 p.m. Central Time. Each took final body mass measurements, and then the crew members suited up in their Sokol pressurized spacesuits. Suits also were pressurized to ensure the pressure integrity of the suits before the crew departed for the launch pad. The actual suit-up activities began just after 9:11 this evening Central Time, about 5 hours before launch.
Ноги вверх, как ты сказал? Ноги наверх. Да, ноги наверх.
Again, this video was shot about 5 hours prior to launch as crew members were suiting up in their Sokol spacesuits. Fist bump between the Expedition 18 Commander Mike Fink on the right there and Yuri Lonchikov on the left, Soyuz Commander for this mission. And Richard Garriott being assisted as he dons his Sokol spacesuit. And all three members of the Soyuz crew about to take a ride up to the International Space Station.
It can be in or out.
The patch on Richard Garriott's suit paying homage to the fact that he's a second-generation spaceflight explorer. Once the suit-up activities were completed, the pressure suit's pressure holding capabilities were verified. Mike Fink's wife, Renata, and children watching him suit up from the confines of the viewing room.
Отлично. Пускай сидят, расслабляются. Нет, так они начинают думать, что самоанализ.
Sure, buddy.
Baby.
Dear guests, as chairman of the state board, I would like to report to you that all of the processing on the space vehicle and the launch vehicle are complete. So we wish you a safe takeoff and a safe landing. Thank you.
In addition, the three crew members spoke from behind the glass to various space station managers, VIPs, friends, and family who were gathered prior to the launch.
Wonderful training. You are a true team, and we'll be waiting for you on the ground, and we'll be happy to meet you. Once again, I would like to say that everything that has been done by the workers, the engineers, and those that were involved in the processing and the training have assured that everything is nominal. I would like to show you something. You visited me several days ago. I signed you a photo, and I am handing it over right now. I recognize Director General and Designer General of RSC Energia, Vitaly Lopota.
The shot here is Mike Fink's daughter, Tarali, who was born while he was on orbit for his first stay aboard the International Space Station.
Have a good time on Space Station. Take care of Space Station and enjoy your time there.
Space Operations Mission Director Chief Bill Gerstenmaier also having a word with the crew.
Thank you. We'd like to thank you for the support that we have received throughout the training process. Thank you very, very much. I would like to say that the tasks that we have will be achieved. We are ready for flight, and we will see you on the ground after we have completed our program. I am very thankful to Russia for the opportunity to use the same launch pad as Yuri Gagarin used when he launched into space. Thank you very much. We're going to work together in space. We'll work together very well. This is going to be the best symbol for the relationship between our countries on the ground. Thank you, friends. Thank you, colleagues. I'm ready. Go, Yuri,
Here,
go,
a traditional
Misha.
crew walkout and report to the head of the government commission about 4 hours prior to launch. These activities took place earlier today.
Mr. Chairman, the crew of Soyuz TMA-13 is ready for flight. Commander Yuri Lonchikov. Report received, and your go.
The crew boarded the bus just about 11 p.m. Central Time, and the ride to the launch pad took about 20 minutes, with the crew arriving at the pad before 11:30 p.m. this evening Central Time. Owen Garriott walking his son Richard to the bus. The ride to the launch pad took about 20 minutes, and the crew arrived just before 11:30 p.m. this evening Central. Awaiting the crew's arrival, a group of well-wishers to bid the crew farewell on its voyage, and the Soyuz rocket was fueled about 3 hours prior to launch. Crew members said farewell there and boarded the elevator and rode to the top of the Soyuz rocket to board their capsule. They've been aboard the capsule now for about 2 hours.
Break a leg, guys. One more. Richard.
Top of the stairs, Richard Garriott. Below him, Mike Fink. And at the bottom, Soyuz commander Yuri Lonchikov. We are now 30 minutes to launch and counting. The Soyuz capsule sits high above the 3 stages of the Soyuz booster, which are liquid-fueled with kerosene as their propellant. The first stage has 4 liquid engines strapped to the side of the core vehicle, and each will burn for approximately 1 minute 58 seconds before it is jettisoned. The core engine of the first stage also serves as the second stage and continues to burn until about the 4 minute 58 second point. The third stage has a single engine that will burn for about 4 minutes 2 seconds, shutting down at the 9-minute mark of the flight. At this point, the Soyuz will be in an initial orbit of 143 miles at its high point and 118 miles at its low point. That's 230 miles at its apogee and 230 kilometers at apogee and 189 kilometers at perigee. We are now 28 minutes and 30 seconds to launch. The 23.5 foot long Soyuz spacecraft weighs 15,800 pounds and is composed of 3 modules. At the top, the orbital module, at the bottom, the instrumentation propulsion module, and sandwiched in between the descent module in which the crew resides. After the spacecraft reaches orbit, its solar array wings are deployed, spanning nearly 35 feet. The entire spacecraft is nestled inside a protective shroud at the top of the rocket. This shroud is jettisoned about 3 minutes after launch. The crew uses the orbital module, sometimes known as the habitational module, during on-orbit operations, and it includes the docking mechanism, the hatch, and the rendezvous antenna. This portion of the Soyuz separates from the remaining compartments only after the deorbit burn has been completed near the end of the spacecraft's mission. The descent module contains personally contoured couches for the crew members during launch, re-entry, and landing. The module contains all controls and displays necessary for critical flight activities. It also contains life support provisions, batteries for re-entry and landing, and the parachutes and landing retrograde rocket engines. The instrumentation propulsion module houses the oxygen storage tanks, attitude control thrusters, avionics, and communications and control equipment. It also contains all avionics equipment used for primary guidance, navigation, control, and computer systems for the entire spacecraft. The propulsion compartment of this module handles all orbital maneuvers, including those needed for rendezvous while the space station and the deorbit burn at the end of the spacecraft's mission. The 2 solar arrays are folded against the body of the instrumentation propulsion module, which separates from the descent module after the deorbit burn, just like the orbital module. The entire capsule not only serves as a crew transport vehicle to and from the space station, but it also remains docked to the station for 6 months, acting as an emergency return vehicle in the event the crew should have to leave the station unexpectedly. Back now live from the Baikonur Cosmodrome of Kazakhstan. Just under 26 minutes to launch. Atop the Soyuz spacecraft, the Soyuz booster is a small rocket, the launch escape system, that would fire in the event of a problem during launch. The rocket is designed to pull the spacecraft and crew clear to parachute to a safe landing in the event the launch or early stages of the climb to orbit are aborted. We are listening to music that has been piped into the capsule of the Soyuz spacecraft. Again, about 30 minutes ago, an on-orbit timing device was initiated that governs the final major events leading up to liftoff. This type of launch vehicle has been used in various configurations to launch satellites since 1963, and its first use as a crew transport was in 1967. It now stands ready to launch Expedition 18 toward its home for the next 6 months.
He is about to take the crew commander place. Now, I understand you're a kid, and he is a terrific...
This is Mission Control Houston, and we are continuing our live coverage of the launch of the 18th Expedition crew aboard a Soyuz rocket from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. We now stand 8 minutes and 30 seconds from launch and counting. Engineers continue to monitor all systems aboard the Soyuz rocket and its Soyuz TMA capsule, set to begin its voyage in just about 8 minutes and 23 seconds. The official launch time is 2:01 a.m. Central Time or 1:01 p.m. local in Baikonur. And we are now receiving live in-cabin views from inside the Soyuz spacecraft.
Everything goes as scheduled. We are monitoring everything very closely. So, right after
a short while ago, commands were sent to switch power from ground sources to the Soyuz's onboard batteries. After reaching orbit, the Soyuz command and control system will be activated and stored computer commands will deploy communications antenna. The first will be the Kurs rendezvous and docking antenna, which will be used to provide automatic range rate information on its final approach to docking with the Zarya module's docking port. Just after reaching orbit, the spacecraft's solar arrays will be deployed to collect power for use by batteries to generate electricity for equipment on board. About 90 minutes into the mission, the crew will oversee the programmed activation sequence as the spacecraft makes its final pass over Russian ground stations.
There we go. That was...
Systems activation includes the module's power supply system, its radio communications system, and its critical motion control system. Tomorrow, the motion control system will establish a stable orientation for the Soyuz as it continues its 2-day chase to rendezvous with the space station.
And what's most important?
Again, these are live in-cabin views inside the Soyuz spacecraft as the crew prepares for launch in just 6 minutes and 46 seconds.
I believe he dreams about it. Yeah, I'm sure.
Commander Yuri Lonchakov on the left for the Soyuz, and Expedition 18 Commander Mike Fink in the upper right-hand corner of your screen here.
Remember how they've been working on that Firebolt.
On the launch pad at Baikonur, the countdown is proceeding on schedule. Counting down from 6 minutes 20 seconds now. At this point in the countdown, the Soyuz's first stage steering jets are in the ready-to-launch position, and ground commands have been received from the rocket, indicating that all control and auxiliary systems are ready for launch.
Telemetry recording 1. Copy, telemetry recording 1. Purge.
T-minus 5 minutes and 30 seconds and counting. Launch control reports that the range at Baikonur is clear and the Soyuz rocket is ready to begin its journey. T-minus 5 minutes and counting. Onboard systems switch to onboard control. Soyuz Commander Yuri Lonchakov's controls have been activated. Crew members will be closing their helmets, putting them on suit oxygen. A launch key is meanwhile being inserted in the launch bunker. We are ready to launch. T-minus 4 minutes, 30 seconds. T-minus 4 minutes and counting. Ready for a launch of the Expedition 18 crew from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. T-minus 3 minutes 30 seconds. Nitrogen purge of the engine combustion chambers underway. T-minus 3 minutes and counting. T-minus 2 minutes 30 seconds. The booster tank is being pressurized for flight. T-minus 2 minutes and counting. All systems still go for launch. T-minus 1 minute 30 seconds. T-minus 1 minute and counting. The Soyuz is now on internal power. Automatic launch sequencer is on. The first umbilical tower is separating from the booster.
Moscow. Soyuz.
T-minus 30 seconds.
Start.
T-minus 15 seconds.
Off.
The second umbilical tower moves away from the Soyuz.
Preliminary. Preliminary.
T-minus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Intermediate. Prime and liftoff.
First stage engines should be at flight speed now. And liftoff. Liftoff of the Soyuz rocket transporting Mike Fink, Yuri Lonchakov, and Richard Garriott to their home in space.
20 seconds. Engine of stage 1, stages 1 and 2 operate nominally.
Engines 1 and 2 operating nominally.
Launch structural parameters are nominal. Copy.
Good roll and pitch program according to flight controllers. Soyuz is heading toward a link-up with the International Space Station 2 days from now. good first stage performance. The Soyuz delivering 102 pounds of thrust from its 4 boosters and single engine. First stage of the Soyuz is 68 feet in length, 24 feet in diameter as it burns for the first 2 minutes and 6 seconds of flight.
60 seconds. Pitch your roll nominal. Copy. 70.
1 minute into the flight of the Soyuz, everything nominal. Velocity is 1,100 miles an hour or 500 meters per second.
80 seconds. Nominal flight. $90 seconds. Nominal flight. Engines of stages 1 and 2 operate nominally and stable. $110 seconds. Nominal flight.
1 minute and 58 seconds. Jettison of the 4 strap-on boosters. These have been completing their job and have dropped away at an altitude of 28 statute miles. The Soyuz is traveling at about 3,350 miles an hour or 1,500 meters a second at 2 minutes.
Not 150 seconds. Stage 2 engines are nominal. Off.
2 minutes into the flight of the Soyuz, all systems nominal.
160 seconds.
Escape tower and launch shroud jettison.
Fairing jettison. Copy.
Receiving live in-cabin views of the crew aboard the Soyuz as they rocket into orbit.
And 80 seconds. Stabilization nominal. Copy.
The Soyuz second stage is performing as advertised. The second stage of the Soyuz is 56 feet in length, 13.5 feet in diameter, with a single engine providing 96 tons of thrust for its 3 minutes and 28 seconds of operation.
Not 220 seconds. Flight nominal. Copy. $240 seconds. Stage 2 engines are nominal. Copy. $250 seconds.
Visiting vehicle officer here in Mission Control. Replies 4 minutes into the flight and all systems working well.
Nominal. Copy. $270 seconds. Flight nominal. Copy. Okay. Start of stage 3.
5 minutes into the flight of the Soyuz, the core booster is burnt out and is separating at an altitude of 105 miles or 170 kilometers, and the third stage will begin ignition.
Yuri, this is Anna Permanov. How do you feel? Wonderful. How are your crewmates to your left and to your right? They are absolutely great guys. They are real space explorers. And when did you feel the most loads? Right now or at the very beginning? No, right now we pretty much do not feel any extreme loads. It was only the beginning. What was the maximum GX load? Oh, well, I would say about 3.5. 3.5? Yes. Close, anyway, between 3.5 and 4. So is that just how you felt it, right? Do you have any instrument that would show you the actual load? Okay. All right, guys. That was all the time I had. Somebody's taking the microphone from me. Thank you, Anatoly Nikolaevich. 380 seconds. Stage 3 engines are nominal. Copy.
Second stage separation. The 4 liquid-fueled engines have completed their task for today, dropping away at 4 minutes of powered flight remaining. Soyuz is being propelled by the single engine of the Soyuz's third stage. Engine is providing 30 tons of thrust and will burn for 4 minutes and 2 seconds.
Copy, thank you. And 20 seconds. Pitch your roll nominal. Copy.
Two minutes remaining before the spacecraft achieves orbit.
440. Vehicle stabilization is nominal. Copy.
Now 7 minutes and 30 seconds into the flight of Soyuz and the Expedition 18 crew. The velocity of spacecraft now almost 13,500 miles an hour.
Launch structural parameters are nominal. Copy.
Once the third stage delivers the Soyuz to orbit and the module is separated, a series of pre-programmed commands will be executed to prepare it for orbital operations. These stored commands, called time tag commands, allow many of the Soyuz's systems to be automatically activated by onboard computers at precise times stored in those computers.
490. Vehicle stabilization is nominal. Copy. 500 seconds. Nominal flight. Copy.
Eight minutes and 30 seconds into the flight, continuing to receive live in-cabin views of Commander Sergei Lonchikov on the left and Flight Engineer Mike Fink on the right.
Okay, we see the separation contact, and we see...
Mission Control Moscow confirms third stage cutoff and separation. The single liquid-fueled engine has now shut down and has dropped away at an altitude of about 125 statute miles. Third stage is now performing an avoidance maneuver by opening an outgassing valve in the liquid oxygen tank.
Okay. We're given the control to M-System to Moscow. Thank you. Thank you.
We have confirmed spacecraft separation. Soyuz capsule and crew inside are now safely in orbit. Spacecraft is automatically beginning to initiate its pre-programmed commanding for antenna and solar arrays to deploy. Visiting vehicle officer confirms that all deployments are complete. The Soyuz's third stage steering jets are now firing to separate the booster from the capsule, and the Soyuz is orbiting at an altitude of about 143 by 118 miles. That orbit will be raised systematically over the course of the next 2 days, placing it in close proximity to the International Space Station for final rendezvous and docking set for 3:33 a.m. Central Time Tuesday. Control of the spacecraft from here on will be overseen from the control facility in Korolyov. And here's a view of the Russian Mission Control Center in Korolev outside of Moscow, where flight controllers are carefully monitoring the flight of the Soyuz and the Expedition 18 crew destined for the International Space Station. Today's launch went on time at 2:01 a.m. Central Time. Today and tomorrow, the engines will be fired 3 additional times to further raise the Soyuz orbit to that of the space station.
Titan Moscow. Moscow Titans, go ahead. Guys, how was the separation? Was everything okay? The separation contact was nominal. Everything's fine. The crew feels fine. Okay, give me the information on the first measurement. We're ready to copy. Pressure in SF 589 and BO 811 and 861. Parameter number 18 1506. Second 1784 19. First digit eligible 21.6. 21st 0.8. 22. 327. 23. 320. 24. 17.3. 25. 17.5. 26.267. How copy? We copy, thank you. Yes, we send the ODR and we close the RPV. Okay, copy. Did you say, what is the exact time of measurement? What time are you asking about? When did you do the first measurement? 5 minutes ago. Copy. Guys, do you copy us?
This is Mission Control Houston. We're continuing to receive live downlink television views from the Soyuz spacecraft as it continues its nominal climb into orbit.
Congratulations on the successful launch. About time to start working. We have no issues with the telemetry. Your vehicle is fine. The launch went nominally. So, as we talked to you many times about it, we can just proceed with nominal work. Yes, thank you, Vladimir Alexeyevich. Titans Mission Moscow, go ahead. Yuri, I understand that 5 minutes have passed, and it's time to take the next measurement in SR, or you probably did that, so we are ready to copy the data. Pressure Nessa 789. 789. Okay. Did you monitor the DS?
Now 15 minutes and 30 seconds into the flight of the Soyuz, carrying Expedition 18 Commander Mike Fink in the upper right-hand portion of your screen. Soyuz Commander Yuri Lonchikov in the center of your screen, and to his right, spaceflight participant Richard Garriott.
специальную трубу.